All right, it's fine. I'll go ahead and read like this. I don't care. Hello YouTube, and welcome all who are watching. I'm Jesse Tovar, and this is My Place Cafe Poetry Night. My Place Cafe is located within Henteef Square, 2057 North Los Robles Avenue, Suite 10, Pasadena, California, at the corner of Woodbury and Los Robles. My place is open every day from 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. I am thrilled to have Evan Kendall reading here this evening. In my introduction to Andrew Liu's poetry night back in January, I had mentioned Kendall used Mines and Liu's short story titled A Homonym for Medicine as a course reading for his freshman Composition 2 class at Los Angeles City College. Kendall also used Mines and Christian Kid's short story titled Fishfire in his class this past spring. I am thankful to him for that. Now that I have a master's in English, I also thank him because he gave me an opportunity to be a supplemental instructor, which fulfilled a professional practicum requirement for my master's program. Kendall using one of my short stories also fulfilled that requirement as well. On World Poetry Day this year, I decided to record myself read some poems at my place cafe. I'm sure some of you who regularly tune into this channel have seen it. During this video, I read Kendall's A Frog Alone Cannot Play, aka Leapfrog, from his collection, Mika Mio More. There are other poems I find funny, including poems some may describe as self-deprecating. Evan Kendall also wrote a novel with DC Curtis titled Truth and Pain. I do have a copy. I wish I can find it easily in my garage so I can finish reading it. And again, I am glad that Kendall agreed to be here in this series Latanya Smith and I put together because I feel like this is one way I can give back to him, one of my professors during my community college days. When I reached out for opportunities to complete my master's, he took a chance with me. With that said, it is my pleasure to welcome Evan Bones Kendall.
Hey. Hi, everybody. I gotta take the hat off, it's too hot. And the jacket. Before maybe I will sit though. I think I'll sit. Seems appropriate. So yeah, definitely thank you, Jesse, for this. This is wonderful for me, a good experience. Yeah, I think that'll work. A little dark, but no, because the sun's over there. So yeah, it's just it'll work. So yeah, thank you also for everybody in the crowd. I have I won't tell you how many because it's uncountable. The number of people in the crowd right now, but you can hear them. They're here to hear some poetry, experience some culture. I don't know that I had huge expectations for the night, but I was nervous because what am I going to do? It could get really boring, just kind of talking. So there's a little bit of a story, and I put together a plan, and so if I go off script, maybe that'll happen, but otherwise I got it all page after page of what I want to try to do, because I thought I should try to do something. The book that we're talking about right now, Mika Mi Amor, is the first book I ever put out and made, and I'll talk about that. But yeah, he mentioned Truth and Pain, starring the Gangsters and Retards by DC Curtis and Bones Kendall. And shout out to DC Curtis, wherever you are in the world. And so this is not the first reading, because DC and I did some stuff, some publicity for Truth and Pain, but I wasn't going to spend much time talking about that today because I thought poetry night's a little bit better. And just so everybody knows, I'm not just an author, also a publisher, and I just wanted to mention Sean Casey O'Brien's For the Love of Long Shots, which is a book that I published. And that actually ties back into this, but Sean's story is an inspiring tale about a disability rights activist. I'll let you read it or find it or ask questions later. So why a book? I actually feel, if the truck goes by, maybe I'll pause. I feel a little bit old. And that's what I felt when I was thinking about, what am I going to do for this? These poems were written, well, it's been at least 22 years. So car parking behind me. The genesis of the book was a love to my wife. I mean, that's what it was. And I never really necessarily planned on publishing them, but I did. But partly that was so that I could learn how to publish books, because when I was growing up, that was a thing. Now, you want to learn how to publish stuff on TikTok. So I'm trying to learn TikTok. I don't want to, don't ask how that's how that's going. But yeah, I thought maybe I should. But I designed it as a book, and that's where I knew that I wasn't going to sell a lot of copies, but I wanted to make it something. The game is on, so I understand that. That's the. I'm a big soccer fan. He was listening to the soccer game, so that's cool. So, but anyway, making it a book again, that meant something to me. But poetry, I knew people weren't going to read, so it's kind of interesting because if you see the it's published under a copy left, meaning people could actually copy any of the poems they want. I still get credit, but because I thought people wouldn't even read the book, and maybe I'll give the poems away some other way. And so I have been trying to make it into an app, but you can ask me how well that's going, and it's not going very well. Computers and I get along, but I work for a living, as just told you, I'm a full-time teacher, so I just don't have time for all the creativity, that I want to do. But anyway, let me start with a poem first before we go too far. And this was the first poem that I ever recited publicly. I did this at a poetry exchange at a junior high school in Beverly Hills. Don't ask. That's how I love my wife more than I love my pocket knife. That's saying a lot. She's sharper, more dangerous, and she has more uses. But neither one can I do without. Luckily, there's no jealousy. That's fine. And I'm supposed to pull out the pocket knife and just unfortunately, my wife's not here. My pocket knife is, so I'll tell you who's more trusty in this world. But my wife is in Las Vegas. Sorry, I keep saying Las Vegas, Palm Springs right now, where I was just a few hours ago. I came back for the show. What's even more ironic about that's really the plan is dedicated to the ironies of love. That's actually like the subtitle, Bones Kendall's Little Big Night, dedicated to the ironies of love. What's ironic about love? well, yeah. The first irony is that I'm here and not with my love. It's our 22nd anniversary today. Today, yes. Thank you. So, and I'm here, and she's out there. But we had a family getaway. When I wrote these poems, no kids, right? So that's why looking back on this, I'm like, man, this is really taking me back. I was thinking, here's a good poem. Two lovers. That's the idea. You fog up my glasses and laugh at my passes. You are filled with mirth. I'll make you give birth to a love that will grow. So get ready, get set, go. And I mean, a love that will grow. Birthday, yeah, birth a love that will, because I was trying to, get some. That's now I'm my plan is but I'll say all the things that I wrote in advance. I don't know if I'll go in the order to get some. Here's one. What can I do to be more romantic? Not much, you see, I'm too pedantic. Somebody out there help me. I'm about as amorous as irony. But if I were a different man, I might not have such difficulty. I would try as hard as I can, risking it all, even penalty, just to sweep you off your feet, to give you a special treat, to be a man that can't be beat. Yes, I would cross the sea in a desperate race to once more lay eyes on your pretty face. I would swim to the bottom of the ocean to impress you with my deep devotion. I would spend my life trying to teach if it thought it could just bring us within reach. I would dedicate to you a book of poetry just to try and get you to sleep with me. I really wish I knew how to romance, but I don't even know how to dance. The only thing I can do to get a date is prevaricate, which means to lie. Thank you. And so that was the thing when I was like, well, I want it to be a book, but how am I going to get people to, understand? If you don't know what prevaricate means, it kind of ruins the poem. And I tried not to overdo it. So I said, well, if I'm going to put this into a book, I need to make a glossary. And so I defined every word used because I was like, I don't know what words people know, what words they don't know. So the word ate is I use that as I had to define it. How do you come up with a definition for ate? So I put consumed by eating. I used BO, body odor. Yeah, I wrote a poem about body odor. I don't know if you can see me sweating, but so prevaricate's in here, and it means to lie. So that's how it works. So that's what nobody's gonna buy my book, but if they did, they'd have a whole. It took me just as long to make the glossary as it did to write all the poems. So how did I write all the poems? And that was funny because I had forgotten, but she reminded me. The what? You remember? Yeah. So this is such a long time. Email. I mean, before social media existed, we had email, we had the internet, and so I would send her these poems, and I would write. Well, according to her, I would get high on my way into work. I'm not saying I know anything about getting high on my way into work, but I would get high on my way into work, and then I would spend hours trying to write these poems. I'll be honest, it wasn't daily, but it was frequently because I wasn't so busy at the job. Sometimes I had a few hours, and I had a big anthology of poems. I already had my master's degree, and I was working in Hollywood, and so I found these pictures. What do you do? I want to be a writer. Okay. So, but I didn't have any ideas. Like, well, I graduated, master's degree. What am I going to do? So I said, okay, I'll write a poem a day. It wasn't 50 days. There's 50 poems, but it took me months. But like I would find a picture. Here's two skulls. And so then I was like, all right, let me write a poem about that. I know Shakespeare. I know these are throughout the ages, across the sea that rages, like well-worn stone or fossilized bone, our love is here to last. It started in the past and goes on to the future. You and I fused together like skull bones in a suture. Staying close as if tethered we are, each a part of the other. Believe it, I have no doubt. Get me up high and I'll shout to my to my sisters and brothers, for all to hear, close and near. We shall unite to persevere. And that's it. But it's not the end. For long after our final breath, outliving even death, our love will continue. Yeah, thank you. Some are totally cheesy. I know that. Some are totally cheesy. Really, and that's. Did I read the horny corny one yet? So what if and it's a picture of this guy. I don't know if you can see. You give me fever. I can't publish these because I don't have the rights to them. So that's why when I made the book, there's a blank page, but I had initially planned on it being a photo book, but I didn't have any money. I mean, the dedication, and it's partly still true. I'm not rich. The dedication to Mika. To Mika, my love, I'm too poor to give you diamonds. She knows. I'm too poor to give you a new car, a fancy vacation. Palm Springs ain't that fancy. Designer clothes, money, or just about anything material. All I have are the feelings inside my heart and the words I can string together. But maybe these are more valuable. And who knows, if we're lucky, they might stand the test of time. 22 years, we're 22 years. We're still here. Good. So, but yeah. So what if my verse is corny? It's all a big lie. I'm just really horny, and you caught my eye. See, when I look at you, there's things I want to do. You make me feel awkward. I want to express my emotion, but doing it out loud causes commotion, and you tell me to be quiet. So I'm restricted to verse. What would you rather read, something corny or terse? Let go of censure. Laugh if you want, mock if you please. Just don't lead me on or be a tease. I put my heart on the page, and by your reaction I gauge what works and what fails. Don't take the wind out of my sails. Corny it may be, but baby, that's the season. Horny I am, and baby, you're the reason. Well, yeah, and love. I'm partly it's a deconstruction of love. I mean, that's like the plan, because I always thought that. But like I wrote a sonnet, but you know, I was inspired by Shakespeare. I was going to read you Shakespeare's Sonnet 130. I thought maybe we had a crowd, you know, I could enlighten you guys, but maybe some of you guys already know literature, maybe even better than I know it. My mistress's eyes are nothing like, this isn't me, this is Shakespeare. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun, dark color. If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. When I was in college, I read that. And I was like, holy shit, you know, like romance, even romance isn't always romantic, if that makes sense. It's kind of, you know, funny, tongue in cheek and stuff. So I wrote, you know, a couple. Let me see if I can't find. Uh, did I read this one yet? 97. Love is less about what's inside our hearts. So this is one of my favorites because this is a sonnet. Like I count the syllables, or it's close to a sonnet. I don't want to actually. I don't want to actually. Love is less about what's inside. Speaking of farts, that's pretty appropriate noise for. Love is less about what's inside our hearts and more about sharing each other's farts. Or sometimes, because of the late hour, if one of us doesn't take a shower, the other one can get a little whiff of an aroma that can be quite stiff. Sometimes I catch you without warning with my stinky breath in the morning. It's true, smelly pits are a fact of love, the earthly kind, not the kind from above. Believe me, it might not make too much sense, but for the record, this poem's my 2 cents. You want to know how I know I love you? For me, no one else's BO will do. All right, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. You don't have to clap after all of them. They're not all that good. Some of them are better than others. So yeah, so there were 3 themes that I realized that I hit. Oh, so I was gonna say, yeah, I would email these to Mika with the pictures, but she would tell me that she would have to. We had dial-up internet back then. I don't know if you guys remember, like through a modem. I mean, it would. So she'd get lined by. She'd get pissed off. So I love you wherever you are. I told her though, maybe I will. I wrote that actually in a little part in the back. I'm not going to read this, but that, you know, she agreed to let me try and put these into a book because, like I said, I was writing not just for, I was writing about love. Here's one. Did I read this one yet? Oh yeah, I already read that one. I was writing about poetry. I kind of like this one. There's 2 or 3 poems that are more from her perspective, but this is really me, but with her voice. I get my inspiration from a muse. You're so corny, that's a ruse, she said, making me turn red. She's right, you know, but I do hear voices in my head. I draw on life for inspiration. I notice things like perspiration. Oh no, not another lame line, she said. She's so smart. But I need to practice to refine. Inspiration often comes to me from above. Cheesy, try again, she gently chided. I'm not afraid, I'm a fool, for to put my soul in verse I decided. What can I say, what can I do? She said, just to yourself be true, and so I will keep on going, looking up, down, and around, seeking inspiration, but never knowing. All right. So, yeah, what kind of inspiration? Well, like I said, I know that I knew literature already. I kind of pretend that I'm a young poet when I wrote this, and I don't know, 30 is young. Like I said, we didn't have kids. I was trying to do some funny stuff, some deconstructive stuff. Here's one of Mika's favorites. The blank poem. There's literally not a word on the page. Ha ha! I got you. The best poem I ever wrote. You know, little cute ones. Against you I like to rub. Feed you I do with grub. Tousle your hair, enter your lair, and never let you go. Be with you I will till we die, and still more if I could. I feel like I should at least try and let you know. I just think that she loved getting these. I don't know if that's true. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you love getting an email like that every day, almost every day? So, I mean, some say I write really bad poems. They say I shouldn't even write prose. Well, I might not be a scribe of tomes, and my meter might not smell like a rose, but what a rose is keeps on changing, and history is made and rearranging. So even if I just make waste, I shall keep on doing it with haste. I don't want to brag at all. I just want you to like my doggerel. Now let's go have a bacchanal. Thank you. Thank you. You got to know some of those words, of course. Doggerel is cheap poetry. Bacchanal, you'll have to look up. But the rose thing was because I don't know if you guys know, like Shakespeare's famous A Rose, and then Gertrude Stein comes along. A rose is a rose. Is a rose. So I figured that's my version of it. I wanted to, you know, interchange with poetry, but also myself, and then also, and I was working in Hollywood at the time. So this was another one. And this is a reference to Ali. So the Muhammad Ali, the boxer,
Yeah.
he's got a line. Get out of here, car. That was an old VW. His quote is, "It's just a job. Grass grows, birds fly, waves pound the sand. I beat people up." And I was like, all right, because I got a poem in here. You know, poets, like, I knew slam poetry was a thing. I didn't quite want to do that, so I'm not. I don't get too much into that. But here's my all the inspiration. I don't know anything. Birds sing, dogs bark. I try and write poetry. A chorus of voices can steer my direction, and I'll get lost. I'm so dense I don't know fear, and believe me, that costs. There's just one thing that I overstand. It's less about the ring than about the hand. Thank you. And yeah, I mean, I got a ring on, but Mika will tell you, you know, I didn't really, you know. So what's the 22nd wedding anniversary gift? I had to look it up today because, of course, I didn't get her anything. I told her, man, I'm doing this show for you. This is this is your gift. Copper, 22nd wedding anniversary, because I guess resiliency and beauty, and I don't know, you're supposed to like get copper cookware or something like that, like for your spouse. So I cook, so she's not gonna want that copper cookware set that I was thinking about buying her. That ended up being used by. All right. I wrote, you know, and I try to write clever, all kinds of poems. Your purple hair, she had dyed hair at the time. Your purple hair, it makes them stare, but you don't care. You like to dare. They see your face and guess your race. It's no disgrace. You just outpace. It's like a book the way you look, but you're no crook. Baby, you cook. You're not on a stage or locked in a cage. You're on my page. Now let's engage. That's well, yeah. Who has purple hair? Well, yeah. I should tell you a little bit about my wife, just a little bit. She's an interesting character, I guess. Mika, I don't know. You can get the name Mika. I don't know how well you can see it, but her last name is actually on the cover too.
Oh, what?
In the little, it's Gutierrez, Mika Gutierrez. So she's half Japanese American and half Mexican American. So some of the references, there's a poem in here that's got some Spanish. That's not good Spanish, but it's in Spanish. There's a reference to sukiyaki. At the time, I was reading a lot of Japanese poetry too. So that's another big influence why I didn't want to write too many big, long poems, you know. I like haiku. I still write some poems every now and then. Here, when my baby feels sick, I try to be quick. I warm a bowl of soup and toss in a flick. I climb into bed and caress her head. I love you to me, she said. And I like rhyming, but rhyming poetry is the worst. Don't do it. If you're not good at it like I am, you should not try to rhyme. That's my advice. I was looking for, I had a little pocket, I don't know if you guys know this, it's little pocket rhyming dictionaries. And that way you can flip through and get, I've seen some of the ones online, which I'll use every now and then for, but anyway, how long are we into this? I don't have much more time. I got a little bit more time. So yeah, the poems are about poetry itself. The poems are about me being a poet, because that's what you do. And then the poems are also about her. Here's another one, and I thought this would be show and tell. So here's another one for you, Mika. So we were just shopping, and we went to one of these little curio shops, and they had some Mexican American stuff. I don't know if you guys know the skeletons, the Day of the Dead stuff. I don't know how well you can see it. And it's the husband and the wife, like that. And it says, "Que nos entierren juntos," may we be buried together. We should be buried together. And I speak some Spanish, and so does my wife. And so I decided to make that part of this one. And by the way, she nicknamed me Bones. I still have a little meat on my bones, but not much, because I'm so skinny. That's explained a little bit later. Sometimes my bones feel like dancing. Occasionally they're into romancing. Sometimes I'm not so elated. Please don't think my love is overrated. But since we have united, we haven't really fighted. Okay, I stretched the rhyme a little bit there. A little stretching of the rhyme. And that's what makes me happy. I feel myself dripping with sappy, so I'll shut up now and won't bug your ear with all the things you don't want to hear. Que nos entierren juntos. So that was inspired by, and we still have it. It's still, I'm bringing it home. More valuable than any diamond ring. You can see I'm hitting that theme over and over again. I'm due for a new car, but now we got grown kids, and you know how much grown kids are? They cost a lot. Hi, kids. Are you even watching this? My son said, "What are you going to do tonight exactly?" I'm going to give a poetry reading. The mixing race thing, because I'm not Japanese and I'm not Mexican. There's something nebulous about us, ethereal, celestial, and contradictory. Yet no one I know can doubt us, for we are real and not a story. I am tall and you are short, so let me be your umbrella. I promise not to laugh and snort when Tommy Boy calls you Cruella. All across this vast thing called space, I think of you and your pretty face, and I think about us mixing race, which is pretty cool, at least in our case. So the explanation there is, if you don't know Tommy Boy, you'd have to have the book, because that's her cousin, and he was calling her Cruella from Cruella de Vil from the 100, because she had dyed her hair. She had like a little white patch in her hair. And there's another one about the Tommy Boy and Marcy sliding down the stairs, because we were looking after her cousins for a little bit and just having fun. There's a lot of like really personal stuff, and a lot of it's really light. I will play the one I will read. The one heavy poem is like the heaviest. I'm sorry, but we didn't have kids yet, but we were working on it. There's been a problem at home, so today you get a special poem. Yesterday you didn't really moan. You were strong, almost like stone, despite the loss of the baby. She miscarried. We could try again soon, maybe. But for now, think of what might have been. A baby with no eyes, no face, no chin. Or perhaps we would have had a rat. Certainly nothing cute like a cat. I'm trying to pull the rug out, right? Maybe the baby would have had fur, or perhaps it would have been a cur. I'm glad we lost the fetus. Sure, it's sad, but it won't defeat us, because we already sail on the same boat, and we will again unite in a zygote. This poem doesn't seem to want to end. As in life, there's more around the bend. And that's what we're supposed to learn, to be together through every twist and turn. Yeah. I guess it's not that serious of a poem. It turns a little funny. Well, all right. So now you know what the book's about. You can probably, find it somewhere and read it if you want. I'll take requests if anybody has any, but let me see if I missed any. Oh, I'll say nah. All right. So one more. More to this general idea of trying to write poems that might be entertaining, as opposed to so I didn't know that I was destined to be a poet, and that's what's weird. I mean, you have to want to be a poet. It's a stupid thing. But it turns out that my grandmother was a poet. And she wrote this book, Poetry for Peace of Mind, which is a collection, an anthology of poems with a little bit of commentary by her. In fact, there's a dedication to me. Hey, there's my mom. Are you watching, Mom? Your name's here. And it talks about why poetry. And I thought, well, I could read some of this, but I don't need to. You either know it or you don't know why poetry. But it does talk about different reasons: depression, grief, guilt, loneliness, tension, to break a bad habit, failure. I was like, well, finally, there's one to relieve boredom. So I said, okay, well, maybe like, because I don't, I was writing funny poems. I read some of her poems. They would, I don't know, like the old world, they used to like publish these things in the newspaper. Like you could submit a poem to the newspaper and it would be posted. So when I made this originally, like I said, I'll put it up on the web and things will happen. I should have left it up on the web maybe, but now we have Instagram and all that. So anyway, I don't know that I always, loved everything that even my own, family writes. Certainly not all the poetry that I studied in college. And so purposely I was trying to make it accessible, which is why and that's even in the poems itself. A little sexy too, but as you know, this was a time when I was trying to have a lot of sex to make a lot of babies with my wife, and I succeeded too. When the lights are down low and you want to hear a poem, you give a tug on my big toe, and out comes a red-capped gnome. But the picture was of one of those garden gnomes. I mean, you got like I'm not. You know what I'm talking about? The little red-capped garden gnome, like that guy right there, right? You know the little. So that's what I'm referencing. You give a tug on my big toe, and out comes a red cap. What can I do for you? He asks. Would you like me to recite? It's in your glory, he basks. His one hope to bring you delight. Say yes, and he'll do as you wish. He'll even give it away for free, because he likes eating from your dish. He's the magnificent gnome of poetry. If you laugh or cry at his words, you'll give him immense pleasure. His verses pretty as the singing birds. Your satisfaction will be his measure. He don't care what's proper and prim. He hates what's reprehensible. The only thing that disgusts him is when poetry is inaccessible. So, yay. And thank you. And like I said, I like the rhyme. I like meter. I should have been a songwriter, but I don't know how to make music. And I don't know how to design apps. So let's see. Get out of here, car. All right. I think I'm almost done. I talked to. I got that. I got that. Uh, I was just going to share one or two new things since then. Uh, since then, well, Truth and Pain I mentioned. For the Love of Long Shots I mentioned. I did write a poem that I submitted to a contest, and down in San Diego, but I didn't win. I know why I didn't win, but I still just want to think like somebody who read that poem said, all right, that's talent. That's all, It's called My Sandy Ego. A poem sent to a contest in San Diego. I thought that was funny. My sandy ego is like a sandy sandwich. Edible, still nutritious, but far more humble. To all, a little less palatable. Still, some can swallow me. Nobody likes a sandwich. Yeah. All right, so I have two that I wrote for my students, and I share those. They're real little on the screen, and I don't think I'm going to read them. I will end. How much time I got? Okay, I'll read one, and then I'll end on another poem. So I don't know if you guys know Langston Hughes, but another great American poet, African American, and he writes some good stuff. This was themed for English B. That was the name of the poem. And I was teaching this to my English 102 class. It's kind of interesting because it sure sounds like it's him, but it's actually the speaker of the poem. And we always want to understand that. Sometimes the speaker of the poem is the poet, but that was the thing. Like if I came out, and said, oh, well, how does the Bones Kendall, what does he identify as? Who is he? What's his background? Blah, blah. No one. I mean, I was a lover. That's the speaker of these poems is a lover, maybe in some cases devoid of culture and things like that. But every now and then, the real world comes in. So I don't mind, that poetry represents things. And in this case, I decided that I would play the role of the teacher to his poem because he wrote the poem in direct conversation with the professor. And so I wrote back, though I was his professor. This is called Theme for English 102. To let a page come out of me, that would be a sight to see. But if instead I can appeal to your ear, I'll let my page be something you can hear. I face the faces, teach the toothless, save the suicidal, and inspire the insipid. Poetically, I live my daily affairs. It's always art in all my cares. Don't make me put my truth on a page. It'll be all my calm and all my rage. But if the real goal is for it to be true, then there is something that I must do, and that is that I must consider you. Tell me a color, black, red, white, green, or blue. The true me on a page, it can't fit. My soul is so vast, the task I forfeit, but I'm the teacher, you're the student. So like I said, after a while, I realized, if I could do something this good and never get paid for like, 3 months, like I could write poems. I could be Walt Whitman. I don't know if you guys know Walt Whitman, right? I mean, hey, just more poems than he should have written. I don't know if you guys know William Wordsworth. We were just studying him. I mean, Shakespeare, world famous sonnet writer, 100 and something sonnets. Wordsworth, I'm going to write 500. Like, I could write like 1,000. Does that make me a better poet? No. So I decided maybe I'll just not write poetry, but I'll live poetry. And so that's really what I do these days. I have two dogs. They love my poems. I sing poems to them every day. They never look at me like I'm funny or stupid or anything. I don't even get the commentary that Mika gave. You know what hell I caught for some of these things? Did I read them? You say I'm skinny, I've got no ass. Did I read that one? I didn't read that one? One more then. Yeah, I mean, she loves to make fun of me. That's okay. I can live with it. Here's something a little odd. Here is a little something odd but new. Instead of it being from me to you, I'm writing this poem a different way, so I'm trying to guess what you would say. Will you tell me how safe I make you feel, or how you can't resist my macho appeal? Doubt it. How about a nice compliment about how you're driven wild by my scent? I should know better. You've got too much sass. You flatter me by calling me an ass. My legs are skinny and I've got no butt. In high school, I wouldn't have made the cut. These digs and others you often repeat, but I know, for you, I can't be beat. Thank you. Yeah. So my dogs clap too. They love it. I probably do have more poems to write, but here's the one I'll end with, because we're about done, right? So I wrote this one. I don't share these with many people. I just, every now and then feel like writing a poem. So umami poet. You guys know umami, right? So there's sweet, sour, salty. Umami is like the 5th flavor that they discovered. I used to be a sweet poet, maybe some of this, and I've been a bitter one. Some have called me salty, and my sour years are yet to come. But right now, I've got to say, the midlife me is full of umami. Anyway, I noticed that quite a few of my poems relate to food and taste. What am I gonna do? So yeah, if I write any more, I'll find you and I'll let you know, or maybe you'll have to find me. But yeah, thank you. Thank you. That was fun. Oh, I won't read this one, but if you ever get a chance and want some more sex poems, poems to fuck to.
Yeah.
F does. This is an anthology. I'm just one of many in here, but there's others. So all right, that's enough. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Evan, and thank you everyone that's here watching. Wait, let me put this here real quick. And real quick, I do want to mention that to everyone that's here, if you guys are interested in writing poetry, we've had Spectrum Publishing. They are based here in Pasadena. They've had a couple of release parties for like their anthologies. They're always releasing anthologies. They have another anthology coming out at the end of the month. Tonight's actually the deadline to submit poems on the theme of creation, or just mentioning the word create at the very least. If you guys are interested, if for tonight or for any other like future Spectrum submission, you can always email Dawn kingfishercampbell@gmail.com, or visit spectrumpublishing.blogspot.com to learn more about that poetry group. And again, great job, and thank you all for watching. I'm happy to make this night all about you reality. And thank you, Latanya, and the rest of the My Place family. To get in touch with Evan, you can follow him on Instagram at Bones the Poet. Since Evan is currently an English professor at LCC, oh, and shout out to Jeffrey, who's here, also from LCC. There will be an event featuring another LHCC English professor. Mark your calendars for Friday, July 30th at 6 p.m. Daniel Jose Ruiz will be reading his newest novel, The Life of Jean Siervo, at My Place Cafe. This event will only be on YouTube. Tune in, write your comments, and ask questions that he can answer during the event. Next Saturday at 5 p.m., Louis Vuitton Resto hits the My Place Cafe outdoor patio stage. We hope you come on back, and we hope you can kind of see this as well. The name of this particular collection of hers is Ascension. For now, have a great Sunday, everyone, and remember, make my place your place. All right.